Hello, good afternoon. Don't wonder why such haste to do another footage, another video recording, conversation immediately after the one I posted yesterday. You'll understand. Yesterday I talked about how by asking the right question to the students, for example, by asking the students to classify the characters which appear in Hamlet's first soliloquy into two groups, positive groups and negative groups. The student can be prompted to identify the subtle Freudian reality, psychology in that. For example, I told you that when you divide these characters who appear in the first soliloquy of Hamlet, you understand that under the positive category, Hyperion, the sun god, the god of reason, the god of order, you see, Hyperion. Then you have elder Hamlet. Then you have Hercules, the master of achieving all tasks, Herculean task, you call it, you see, that has become idiomatic, you see, and Niobe. These characters come under positive category, and under the negative category, as against Hyperion, you have Satyr, the nymph, wood nymph, which represents the insatiable, incestuous inclination, perversion of order. If Hyperion stands for highest form of order, then Satyr stands for perversion of order and nature. Then you have elder Hamlet as opposed to the negative character Claudius. And you have Niobe, the mythological character, as opposed to the real life negative character Gertrude or Gertrude. Then you have Hamlet as a negative character, as opposed to Hercules, the master of achieving tasks. So this pitting himself as an antony for Hercules, Hamlet suggests his inherent procrastination also, delay, you see, inherent nature of delaying things, postponing things. That is one tragic flaw. Good. Then the students could easily identify what does Niobe stand for. At that point, there was a slip I made in the last video. Don't ask me, have you been doing the same error for all these 40 years? No. Inside the classroom or in my lectures, I gave the right annotation for Niobe. Only yesterday in the video, I made a slip. I said Niobe was the wife of Priam. No, Priam and Priam's wife are mentioned in the later soliloquy. You see, but Priam's wife is Hecuba, who appears in the same epic Iliad, Homer's Iliad, you see. And Niobe is also mentioned in Homer's Iliad. Niobe stands for not just for the loyalty towards her husband, but Niobe stands for the ideal mother, you see. She is the wife of Amphion, the king of Thebes. She begot by her husband 6 daughters and 6 sons. They were all so beautiful. So Niobe became very proud of the beautiful creature she has created and also her progenitive nature. And she even became superior to the highest goddess. So the goddess grew very angry with Niobe. So she sent her sons, Apollo and Artemis, to kill all the 12 children. When Niobe realized In some versions, they were transformed into stone, but in our version, in Homer's version, they were killed. They were killed. So, what happens? When Niobe realized that all her 12 children are lost, she starts weeping uncontrollably. No one is able to stop her. The pain, agony, anguish, puttira sogam, see, the agony of the mother. See. And she cries, cries and cries. So finally what happens is Zeus transforms her. You see, metamorphosis transforms her into a stone. The myth ends with an anticlimax that even after having been transformed into a stone, Niobe went on crying. I quoted correctly. I said that like Niobe, all in tears. Now, what happens? Though Hamlet says, like Niobe, all in tears, followed my father to his grave, and she immediately after that, after the burial, not even a month, nay, not even a month, she married my uncle. Why she, even she, the world has become an unweeded garden. Fie, he says, you see. So here is the choice of the myth. Had it been Hecuba, which he borrows later, that is loyalty towards her husband, Priam. But Niobe is praised not just for the loyalty, more than the loyalty towards her fidelity for her husband. Niobe is glorified for the unquenchable love a mother has for her children. Even when she is transformed into a stone, she keeps on crying. So now what Gertrude stands for? She is totally unmothered. She does not have the mother's love towards her child, son. So more than her father, his father's death, his mother's remarriage becomes a a motivating factor for self-deprecation. Even she, I am the product of such sin. So the self-deprecation, the realization that even my mother could be like that, disloyal, infidel, unfaithful, makes Hamlet self-deprecating. So this is why I immediately do this. And also what you have to understand here is you can convert a question into a cue. Queuing is not answering. Questions are not just for testing. So questions can kindle their creative imagination and critical ability. Another example is that for MA program in another college, I prescribed 10 couplets from Thiruvalluvar's Thirukural, Sacred Couplet. The chapter, the 10th chapter, the chapter is Iniyavai Kural, variously translated as right speech, right utterance, or pleasant utterance, so on and so forth. There are many translations available for Thirukural. And in this translation, I had to teach these 10 couplets to my students. Often I had been annoyed by the fact that even such admirable writers like late Sujata, Tamil writer Sujata, when they translated Thirukural into different Tamil form, you see, same language. One as one-liners. He would say that sometimes when he does one particular kural, iduvum aduve, the same, this is the same. Then if it is the same like the previous one, why should Thiruvalluvar, who concentrated on precision so much, You see, there are only 7 syllables, units, 7 units. 7 அலகுகள் தான், 7 measurements are there. அசைகள், 7 அசைகள். 4, 3. The man who concentrated so much on brevity as the soul of wit, why should he waste one couplet by repeating what he had already said? So it was very annoying. At the same time, annoyance should not be impotent anger. You have to find out the reason why this man did so. So in the classroom, I asked my students to identify the thematic phrase or word in each of the couplets. One phrase which could tell the theme, the crux of the matter, the quintessence. I asked him. For example, the first couplet. இன்சுரால் ஈரம் அலை படிரியிலவாம் செம்பொருள் கண்டார் வாய்ச்சுரல். இன்சுரால், sweet words, pleasant utterance, pervaded with kindness, ஈரம், wet, kindness. The pleasant utterance pervaded with kindness. Then what happened? These things are obvious. இனியவை கூறல், pleasant utterance, obvious. But the most important phrase, clause in that is padiriyilavam. Padiriyilavam means guileless, not cheating, guileless, no hidden agenda. So, at the very outset, Thiruvalluvar beautifully handles, very effectively, precisely handles the whole subject, pleasant utterance, by pointing out, by defining what is not pleasant utterance. Flattery is not pleasant utterance. You see, praising somebody in order to get something back or to deceive them is not pleasant utterance. Or out of fear is not pleasant utterance. You see? So guileless becomes the crux of the matter. The moment the students do it, then the rest of the 9 couplets flow so easily, so fluently, identifying each and every aspect of pleasant utterance, and finally you get a holistic purview of what really pleasant utterance is, what ethically pleasant utterance is, what benevolently pleasant utterance is. So he concludes, இனிய உளவாக இன்னாத கூறல் கனியிருப்ப காய் கவர்ந்தற்று. When there are pleasant ways in which you can do things, you can say things, why should you opt for unpleasant things like going for bitter things while you have sweet fruits around? That's what he would say. Like that, questions should become cues to kindle the creative imagination, the critical ability of the students. That is why I used these 2 examples by asking the students to classify the characters which appear in Hamlet's soliloquy. Will identify, will open up something which otherwise would have lost in the din of general statements, neutral statements. Like that, Thirukural also, whether it is long or short, it doesn't matter. There is always the crux of the matter, subtly suggested by a literary. An artist will not sermonize. A literary writer will not sermonize. That belongs to temples, that belongs to philosophers. But he will always make an interesting story to keep the philosophy and history in it for the wise reader to take it out. Semborul Kandar Vaichural. Semborul Kandar, the one who has found the crux of the matter. You see, Semborul Kandar Vaichural, wise people. Thank you very much. Have a great day.